You know, it's never been easy being a high achieving perfectionist, but not for long, not for long, because we are not letting that perfectionism keep us from doing the things that we want to do and achieving the dreams that we want to achieve. So, without further ado, let's talk about how perfectionism is keeping you stagnant and focusing on the wrong thing. The wrong thing. Because let's get something straight. We know nothing in this universe is perfect. Nothing. Nothing. And you always see the little quotes of like, nature never rushes, yet everything still gets done. Everything still gets done on time. And we see that play out in life. You know, there's so many times like, oh my God, when I missed course registration for my 4th year of my undergrad, and I knew in that moment I was going to have to take a 5th year because of whatever, you know, I freaked out. I lost my shit because things were going to be delayed. And now looking back on it, I wouldn't have had it any other way. And it ended up playing out so that like I could have graduated after 4th year. I ended up getting all the courses that I needed. But then when things ended up playing out, it was like, okay, I don't have my LSAT done. I am not ready to apply to law schools. I am not ready to do all of these things that, you know, would need to follow after graduating from school. So like, fuck it. I'm going to register for more classes and I'm going to dick around and I'm going to take a lap year because that's what's going to set me up for success. Doing it the unconventional, imperfect way, taking a little bit longer to get my bearings and get situated, and that's what feels best to me. And when I focused on that feeling and I forgot about the timeline, the strict timeline of 4 years and I got to go to law school and this and this and this, when I let go of all of that, when I surrendered the clutch, the hyperfixation on perfectionism, everything else was so much easier. Everything else was so much more enjoyable. And it's that flow state that I want to live my entire life from. I want to be in a constant, perpetual state of flow and ease and gratitude and happiness and contentment. Okay? So in order to do that, I think a big part of me still needs to work on letting go of this perfectionism piece. And I think a great way to do it, a great way to work on overcoming that perfectionism piece, is to just be deliberately imperfect. There's a creator I follow on TikTok, and I totally forget his handle. But like one of his taglines is rockstar shit. That's one of the things he's always saying. And another thing that he's always advocating for is to be deliberately imperfect, to do things with the intention of messing it up, with the intention of coloring outside of the lines, with the intention of letting your curiosity and your pleasure and your senses guide you and change the process, change the outcome, and make it in a way that it is the most pleasurable and the most enjoyable to you, because you are the creator. You are the one that is experiencing this experience, that's creating this thing, that's creating this life, you know? And so it matters most that you are the one that's enjoying it. You are the one that's having fun. And I don't think you can have a whole lot of fun when you're focusing and stressing and worrying about it being perfect, about it following a certain timeline and meeting a certain deadline and looking a certain way and being better than this person's and that person's and having the best sound and the best props and the best lighting and the best hair and makeup and clothing and selling to, you know, the upper echelon of society. And whatever your like goalposts are, maybe you don't need them. Maybe you don't need to gauge the success and the progress of your work on other people, on things that capitalism and the patriarchy and like societal values, the things that those other things have like projected onto you and us as a society, or, you know, collective values and viewpoints. What if you didn't let those external things be the guideposts, be the goalposts, be the markers of how far you've gotten, how successful you've become? What if you used your own internal guideposts of how warm and fuzzy do I feel on the inside? How comfortable do I feel? How at ease? How confident? How pleasurable is this to me? How enjoyable is this to me? What if you focused on how much this thing that you're pursuing, this thing that you're doing, how much is it in alignment with your values and who you are and what you want to do and the type of person you want to be in this life and the type of life that you want to live? Like, use your own internal compass for the guideposts of how successful you are. Who cares if it doesn't get any likes? Who cares if it doesn't get any views? Who cares if nobody buys it? Who cares if nobody comments on it, nobody reposts it? None of your friends or family congratulate you on it or speak to you about it or want to hear about it. It's not for them. It's not for them. It's for you. It's your dream. It's your passion project. And so why are you consistently looking for someone other than yourself to confirm that that's true, to confirm that you're walking your truth, to confirm that you're on your path? Because guess what? Nobody knows what your path is except for you. So nobody can confirm that you're walking your path except for you. So why are you using guideposts that were, you know, projected onto you from other people, from society, from capitalism, from all these structures and systems and ways of being that aren't wholly, truly, authentically you? Just let that sit, let that soak, let that simmer, let that percolate a bit. Because regardless of what other people say or do, regardless of whether people love it or hate it, you have a desire to do this thing. You have a desire to do this thing for a fucking reason. And do you think whether people love it or hate it is going to change that desire? It might, but long term, is it going to? If you, let's say, release a song, release an art project, and nobody likes it, or everyone hates it, and you stop, okay? You don't write a song, you don't make art, months pass, years pass, and that desire is still deep inside of you. It might be dormant, but it's still deep inside of you. Do you want to be laying on your deathbed or raising your kids and telling your kids to chase their dreams, knowing damn well deep down inside of you that you had a dream that you never chased, that you never fulfilled because people didn't give you automatic praise for it? You didn't get automatic validation from others for it? It didn't turn out perfect the first time? You weren't a one-hit wonder? You didn't go viral off of your first post, your first creation? Come on. It's so silly saying it out loud that like something as, I don't know, mediocre as like it not being perfect or people not loving it, those ideas, those conceptions, those fears are what keep you stagnant and what keep you from creating the things you want to create and releasing the things that you want to release. How sad is that? How sad is that when we know that nothing in this life is perfect? No two leaves on a tree are identical, and yet all the leaves on the tree make up this beautiful living creature that we all look up to and admire. I know I love a big, beautiful tree, and I'm not going to look at a tree and be like, oh, This branch is broken. This part is rotten. This leaf isn't the same as another leaf. Such an ugly tree, chop it down. Nobody has that perspective about nature. And yet we are forces of nature, and we have this super hyper overcritical perspective for ourselves. Like, lighten up a little, loosen up. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. And on the other hand, I know you think it's that deep, and you care about this so much because it's so important to you. But don't let that care, that desire for it to be good, allow you to be stagnant, allow you to be paralyzed in your perfection and procrastinate your dream and your desire and your action more than is necessary. Because we know that nothing's ever going to be perfect. We know that the more that you practice, the easier it gets. So why are you stressing about the practice? Why are you stressing about the reps when you know you have to do them anyways to see the gains? It's all part and parcel of the journey. If you want to have a ripped body, but you're stressing about working out because you're worried you're not going to do it right, well, babe, you're never going to see the growth. You're never going to see the muscle gains if you're not there trying in the very first place. You're not going to see your songs pop off on the charts if you're not sitting there writing songs, practicing, rehearsing, releasing things. And I know you want it to be perfect. I know you want it to be perfect, but it's never going to be perfect. Laws of the universe, babe, everything's always changing. Everything's always evolving. Nothing is ever the same. And so if you start off with something perfect, can you really go up from there? And everyone loves a good like rags to riches story. Everyone loves a good like hero protagonist come up story, plot development, character development. We all love that. So like lean into it. Lean into the messy journey, the cringy, authentic, scary, unknown journey, because that's where all the fun lies. That's where all the creativity lies. That's where all the play lies. Lies? Lies. That's where all the play lies. And now old me probably would have cut that out. New me might keep it in because I don't know how I'm gonna cut that out. And also we're like leaning into the imperfection. So I'll be here, I'll take one for the team, and I'll lean into making this intentionally imperfect and focus more on having fun with it and enjoying it, because that's what I want to use as my personal guideposts for how I'm working and how I'm achieving my dreams. Because if I'm achieving my dreams but I'm not having fun, I'm not enjoying the process, I'm not smiling, I'm not giggling, I'm not playing, is it even a win? Is it even a win? Is it really even my dream if I'm not having fun with it? So yeah, use fun as your guidepost instead of perfection. And then when you're struggling to show up for yourself, when you're struggling to do that very thing that you need to do, focus on how much fun it's going to be. Don't focus on how much work. Don't focus on how much time and effort it's going to take to make it the way that you want it to be, or how painful or uncomfortable it might be to be seen, to post, be seen trying, to be authentic, to be vulnerable, to share yourself, share your creative mind, whatever it is. Focus less on that and focus more on, oh my God, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool to share this, to process this, to create this thing. It's going to be a fun little project. And that's all you need to focus on. And then bring yourself back to that reminder of it's going to be fun every single time you feel that commitment and that consistency wavering. Because all you have to do is do this one thing, or do this 2, 3, few things. However many things it takes for you to, get to your final product. Focus on that. break it down into steps and just be like, I gotta do this one thing, I gotta do these 2 things, and it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be easy, I'm gonna enjoy it, and I just have to keep doing that consistently to get to where I want to go. And that's all you need to focus on. That's all you need to focus on. You don't need to focus on who's gonna like it, who's gonna hate it, how long it's gonna take for it to take off. None of that. None of that. None of that. Because that's gonna come when you stay consistent. It's just inevitable. And I think it's gonna come faster when you have fun and you enjoy the process and you release all of the pressure you have on yourself for it to be a certain way. Because when it's perfect, nobody can relate to it. When it's perfect, nobody can see your vulnerable, true, authentic self. And that's what every creative project needs, some piece, some spark, some morsel of the person and the creative mind that's behind it. So allow that imperfect creative mind to flow through what you're doing. And while you're doing this, also be aware of your fear of being seen, your fear of being seen trying, tweaking, perfecting, failing, succeeding. I know for me, I have kind of a big fear around succeeding for some reason, and it's odd to like say it out loud and hear myself say it, but I think for me, like, the audible nature of talking and speaking is something that allows me to process a lot of the like just things. For me, it really helps me process things, and so it's difficult for me to say out loud like I have a fear of succeeding, because all my life, all I've ever wanted to do was succeed, and I have succeeded in so many areas. But I think the uncomfortable part for me is like, what happens when I do succeed and I have to give myself the praise and recognition that I deserve for that hard work? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Am I capable of doing something like that? And those are things that I think you also have to take time, like these deep-seated unconscious beliefs, narratives that you tell yourself, lines that your inner critic uses to diminish your aspirations. All of these doubts you have about yourself. I think it's really important to get to the root cause of them and understand, like, why is it that I'm thinking this way? Why is it that I'm having such a hard time doing this? And just work on getting to the bottom of that. Be aware of it, have it in the back burner, but don't let it drive your bus. Don't let it drive the boat. Don't let it steer the ship. Whatever analogy you want to use, you have to let your core self lead the way, and you have to let your core self be leaded by your values and your desires and your dreams and your hopes and your aspirations and your faith, and not let it be overruled and overridden by your fear, your worry, your anxiety. I want you to try softer instead of trying harder to have it all figured out and have it all fixed and situated and perfect before trying that thing. Just try that thing and be bad, be imperfect, have a laugh, have some fun, make some memories, have an experience, have a ball, because that's what life's about. Like, I just finished Gilmore Girls. Again, I restart it every single fall, and this year I just picked right off from where I finished last year, which was like, I don't know, season 6 or season 7. And so I just finished it last night. And the one analogy that I have to bring from it is that I would like to be less of a Paris Geller in the way that I chase my dreams and more of a Logan Huntsberger. That's the mentality I want to bring into this life, because I feel like I have been a parascaler for a very long time, and it's exhausting, it's tiring, it's a lot of work, and Logan Huntsberger looks like he has a lot more fun, and that's what I want to be doing. So less parascaler, more Logan Huntsberger, and that's going to be one of the mindset shifts that I will be using to remind myself of where I want to go, who I want to be, and how I want to be doing it. And while it's important to have these mindset shifts and, be aware of how it is that you want to show up for yourself in life, I think it's also really important to be aware of how you feel when you're doing certain things, because I think we're taught from a very young age, like, mind over matter, think greater than you feel, which is great in some instances, but in other instances, I think it can be more important to be aware of how you feel, more aware of how you feel than how you think, if that makes sense. Because if something feels right, if something feels natural, if it feels easy, fun, enjoyable, pleasurable, I think it's important to lean into that and to embrace that and to let that feeling guide you. And I think it's okay and it's safe to trust that feeling when you doubt whether or not you're made for this thing that you want to do. Because if it feels right and you feel at ease, you feel relaxed, you feel at home, that feeling is there for a reason. That feeling is within you, that drive, that desire to do that thing, and then the fulfillment that follows from acting on that thing, all of those feelings are there for a reason, for a very divine, higher power orchestrated reason. And I think it's important to trust in that feeling, because a lot of the times your logical mind cannot come up with a reasoning or a justification, logical something or other, to explain why it is that you're doing what it is that you're doing. And when you're relying exclusively on your logical mind to be that motivating factor for you to continue to show up and for you to continue to be consistent, sometimes it's not always as reliable or convincing as you would need or want it to be. Whereas that feeling is like, it's a bodily sensation. It's something that overcomes you. It's something that fills you from the inside out when you do this thing. And that is something that cannot be negated. It can't be debated. It can't be explained or justified or forgotten or worked around, because that feeling returns every single time you return to your art and your practice and your creation. And it's something that only you know and you feel, and that is so special, and it should be strong enough. You should allow it to be strong enough where you don't have to doubt, you don't have to justify, you don't have to reason, you don't have to explain, you don't have to let your logical mind do any work to get yourself there, to do that thing, to engage in this art, this craft, this practice of yours that feels so right. Because when it feels right and you allow it to feel right, you don't need any of that logical thinking brain stuff. You just need to feel and create and be in that flow state, be with your project, be with your craft, have fun, let it be easy, and let everything else flow and fall into place. Now, that was essentially everything I wanted to say on this topic, and I just want to close the video with some mindset shifts, some perspective shifts, some exercises or practices that you can do to make it a little bit easier to get into this feeling driven flow state. Okay, so First off, remind yourself that you do have what it takes. You are good enough, you are worthy, and you were made to do this. We all come into this world equal, whole, worthy, and more than enough, okay? To be worthy of praise and recognition and validation and love and acceptance and all of those wonderful, amazing, feel-good feelings, okay? So anytime you doubt, remind yourself that you are whole, you are good, you are worthy, you were made to do this. It's a little mantra. Love that. Next, reframe your mistakes into data, into insight. Mistakes aren't misstepping. Mistakes are divine redirection. Mistakes are data points, experiences that help you gain knowledge and insight into where you can improve, what you can do differently, what you can do better, all that good stuff. Know that done is better than perfect. Done imperfectly is still better than done perfectly. Because I bet you had way more fun when it was done imperfectly. I bet it was done sooner when it was done imperfectly. And I'm sure you felt way less pressure to get the project done, to return to the project, to do it again next time. Done is always better than being done perfect. Period. Okay? Now I want you to replace your fear of what if it's not good enough. Replace that with what if this helps someone? What if this helps just one person? Just one person. Then I think the worry of it being good enough is no longer present. Now here's a little exercise for you. Daily exercise, subconscious, constant exercise for you to train your inner critic to be your inner coach, okay? Anytime your inner critic is like, nobody's gonna like this, nobody's gonna watch this, everyone's gonna think this is lame and stupid and cringe and weird, flip the script. Be like, everyone's gonna love this. This is gonna be great. Everyone's gonna enjoy this. It's gonna get so many likes and so many views and so many comments, and it's gonna be so easy, and it's gonna be so fun, and it's gonna help so many people, and yada, yada, yada. Whatever your inner coach would be saying to you. Great job, good work, keep it up, 10 out of 10, you're a rock star. And another way to kind of like externalize this inner coaching is to journal. Write notes to yourself from this inner coach point of view. You could do voice memos and send them to yourself to listen to later. Again, from the POV of your coach. You got this, you can do it, whatever. Talk to yourself in the mirror. I've already said, like, audible speaking stuff is really good for me to process. So if I were to do this, I would like speak as though I was my coach in the mirror to myself. Just any way to externalize that inner coach and make that louder than your inner critic. And then lastly, set time blocks, set deadlines for creating, publishing, releasing. You can say, okay, I'm going to sit down, set a 30-minute timer. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do this for an hour. I'm going to edit this for 20 minutes. I'm going to do this, all within the next 2 hours. Or every night at 7 o'clock, I'm going to sit down, do this for 20 minutes. Sit down, do this for an hour. 2 hours on Sunday mornings, I'm going to do this thing. Whatever. However you want to do it, set a time block for yourself to force yourself to create that thing in that time period. Get it out, get it done. Perfect or not. Ideally not. Ideally not perfect. Because then that gives you more time to just like intensively get in that flow state, get in that place of spontaneous creative flow, and be done with it. And then able to enjoy the rest of your night, the rest of your morning, the rest of your weekend, whatever it is, and do other things and know that like you did it. You're good. You're done. And then it makes it that much easier to return to it when you know it's not going to be something that sits in your drafts for a week. It's not going to be something that you spend a week editing and then, debating whether or not to post it, and all that perfectionism stuff that we're leaving in the past, right? So, yeah. That's everything I have for you guys in this video, this episode. I hope you liked. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, follow for more. Yeah, you can find me on TikTok at Jenny's Journal, also Jenny's OOTD Journal. Debating whether or not, I have Instagram handles up for both of those. It's just a little perfectionism thing for me to tweak and work through. I'm really wanting to get on Pinterest. I'll probably do everything under Jenny's Journal on Pinterest. We'll see. Instead of like segregating it from fashion and not fashion. Yeah. And then my personal Instagram is Jennifer St. Croix if you're looking for that one. But yeah. Okay, that's it. That's all. Bye.